إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد فإن خير الحديث كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد, all praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek help from Him, and we seek forgiveness from Him. We seek refuge with Him from the evil of our souls and the evil effects of our sins. Whomever Allah guides, no one can misguide. And whomever Allah misguides, no one can guide. I testify that there is no true God worthy of worship except Allah alone, who has no partner. And I testify that Muhammad is His slave and messenger, which means that He is the only person who deserves total, unquestionable obedience in the religion of Islam. Alayhi salatu wassalam. Indeed, the best speech is the book of Allah, and the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. And the worst things are new things in the religion. Every such thing is an innovation, a bid'ah. Every bid'ah leads astray, and everything that leads astray leads us and ends up in the hellfire. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is a great honor and privilege to be with you here tonight, especially after having visited my country, Russia, after having not been there for 18 years. And there are a lot of things to say in relation to this nice gathering, but the most pleasing aspect of all is that, alhamdulillah, when you go somewhere where the religion is worse and the conditions for the Muslims are worse, you appreciate coming back to a place where we are free, alhamdulillah, to practice our religion, maybe more than in other places. We have less problems, we have more opportunity to study our religion, and I remind myself and my respected brothers and sisters, we should be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, and we should frequently mention it. وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, as for the ni'mah of your Lord, then talk about it. So the ulama said, from shukrun ni'mah, because every ni'mah, everything that Allah has done good to us, we must be grateful to Him for it. And the first step to that is to realize it's a ni'mah and to be grateful for it. So I want to say that I personally am very grateful that we live in a place where the conditions are such. First of all, thanks to Allah. Secondly, thanks to the government. And believe me, they don't pay me to say this. But this is from what the ulama tell us. When a government, even in a non-Muslim country, allows us to practice our deen and to do things that are not sometimes possible in other countries, we have to be grateful, which doesn't mean that we endorse everything they do and say. So I want to say that we must be grateful, we must continue the work of explaining Islam to the government of the UK and to the citizens of the UK and the European continent in general and the world in general if we can, and I praise Allah for that. It's very nice to be back with you here tonight. Today we are talking about a great individual who was one of the people who were commanders of the Muslim army. And before I go to that individual, I want to stop at a few points. First of all, the Muslim army of that time, because there have been a few Islamic armies throughout history. And it's very important for us to study history if we don't have a chance to study Islam, because history is a great teacher to us. And that is why many times people say history repeats itself. And in history there have been a few models of the Muslim army, and the best model, as you know, was the model that was shaped by the Prophet ﷺ at the command of Allah. How an ethical, God-fearing, Allah-fearing army must be. And Abu Ubaidah bin al-Jarrah, the son of al-Jarrah, his kunya was Abu Ubaidah, the father of Ubaidah, was one such commander of an army, or a unit of an army that was shaped by the Prophet ﷺ. Recently I attended a lecture by a respected Sheikh, Sheikh Jalal Abu Ru'b, and I benefited greatly from his lecture, Jazahullah Khairah, from his research. And one of the amazing facts he said, which I didn't know myself, and this is from the person must be grateful to people if he wants to be grateful to Allah, that in the whole campaign that the Prophet ﷺ had, and the ulama of Sirah say that the Prophet ﷺ in total had about 27 battles throughout his Medina period, because in Mecca he wasn't allowed to fight. In 27 battles, he took part himself in 9 of them. And given the nature of warfare at the time, you would think that the number of casualties on both sides would be very enormous. But the Sheikh said that he had counted what he could find from the research and the sources of the victims from both sides, not just from one side. And he came to the conclusion that the total number of victims and the people who died from both sides, and the armies used to sometimes number 100,000, 10,000, 50,000. So you would expect the number of casualties to be enormous. He said that it did not go beyond 3,800 from both sides. And that I'm saying because when we say Muslim army, Islamic army, many people, you know, because of the negative comments that exist in the media, people conjure up as if the Muslim army was there to destroy and to kill and to shed blood. And the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تتمنوا لقاء العدو. Do not wish to meet the enemy, subhanallah. If you say it now to a Muslim, he will say, some of them, you are a coward. Why don't you wish to meet the enemy? The Prophet ﷺ said it at the time when people were attacking him and he was in a position to attack them. He said to the Sahaba, he's teaching the Sahaba, لا تتمنوا لقاء العدو. Do not wish to meet the enemy. But if you meet them, be patient. And he said between those two statements, وَاسْأَلُ اللَّهَ الْعَافِيَةِ, and ask Allah to absolve you from all the fitna and all the bad things. And one of the reasons ulama said he used to teach his Sahaba like that was that they don't know, the person doesn't know in those conditions what will happen to him. Will he stay firm or will he run away? So all of this I'm saying, brothers and sisters, to show the greatness of this religion and the greatness of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, despite of what people lie about him. This is he's saying when people are trying to kill him. So today we are talking about a great person who graduated from that school. Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, his name is Amir bin Abdullah bin al-Jarrah. So Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah is by his grandfather. Abu Ubaidah, his kunya, the father of Ubaidah, the son of al-Jarrah. Al-Jarrah is his grandfather. It's permissible for someone to be referred to by his grandfather or grandmother, like Ibn Taymiyyah, Taymiyyah is not his grandfather, his great-grandmother, or his father, because all of these are his mothers and fathers. Generally, of course, by the father, always by the males. So Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu is from Quraysh, the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ. And some of his nasab, lineage, meets with the lineage of the Prophet ﷺ. And he was from the awwalin as-sabiqin, or as-sabiqin al-awwalin, those who embraced Islam quickly. And he was 40 years of age, or rather he was born 40 years before Hijrah. So when Hijrah happened, he was 40. So he was a mature man. He was born 27 years before the Prophet ﷺ was made a prophet. So when he came as a prophet ﷺ, he was 27. He was a young man, relatively young. Not as young as some of the Sahaba, but relatively young. And at the same time, not that young. And he is from those who embraced Islam from the first. The first batch or the first group, those who raced to embrace, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them in Surah At-Tawbah verse 100. وَالسَّابِقُونَ الْأَوَّلُونَ مِنَ الْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ. Not only Muhajirin, but from the Ansar there are Sabiqun Awwalun. But they came after the Sabiqun Awwalun of the Muhajirin. Why? Because that's how Allah wanted it to happen. And first Islam appeared in Mecca, not in Medina, as you know very well. So the people who used to reside in Mecca, some of them were very, very first, before the Ansar who used to reside in Medina. That's why they're called helpers, because they assisted and helped the cause of Islam and the Prophet ﷺ. But among them also there are Sabiqun Awwalun. Some of them embraced Islam and followed and helped earlier than others. But the Muhajirun, they have priority over Ansar. Why? Because they did it before them. So whoever does something good before someone else, he is better than that person. That is a principle in Islam. So if one of our brothers comes to this prayer before me, he is better than me for doing it. For that reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned them in the Quran and praised them. And He said, those who followed them correctly, وَالَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ. Allah is pleased with them. Three groups: Muhajirun, Ansar, and those who followed them correctly. We can't be Muhajirin or Ansar in that sense. We can be Muhajirin and Ansar in the sense, for the sake of Allah we can do Hijrah, for the sake of Allah we can help His deen, and we should. Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with Him. وَأَعَدَّ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي تَحْتَهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا. That Allah has prepared for them gardens underneath which rivers flow. They will stay there forever, and that is supreme success. So Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu was from the very first. And I will take some aspects of his biography, because his biography is long and it has a lot of good deeds. But when we talk about these individuals, of course we should try and learn from them so that we can benefit from that. That's why some great Imams of the past, like Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he used to say, to read the biographies of these great people is more beloved to me than nawafil al-ibadat, than to do something from the ibadah, worshipping Allah, that is nafila, that is voluntary, like salah. Why? Because we benefit greatly from these people. And of course, as you know, he's one of those who was given the good news of Jannah in his lifetime. One of those 10 mentioned in one hadith. Al-Ashara, we call Al-Asharatul Mubashsharuna bil Jannah. The 10 people who were given and told that they will be in Jannah in their lives. Imagine someone came and said, you'll be in Jannah. That's the Prophet ﷺ, that's what he said about those 10 people, but there are others, many others, like Fatima. She is not mentioned in that hadith. Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet radiallahu anha. Like Hassan, Hussein, her sons. Like Thabit bin Qais bin Shammas. Many others, Bilal. They are not mentioned in this hadith, but they were also given the good news of Jannah, paradise in their lifetimes. But these 10 are mentioned together. Abu Bakr fil Jannah, Umar fil Jannah, Uthman fil Jannah, Ali fil Jannah, and until Abu Ubaidah. Abu Bakr is in paradise, Umar, Uthman, Ali, until Abu Ubaidah. And if we analyze, we don't find those 10 great people to be arrogant. That's one of the features of the people of Jannah. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, a person who has kibr, even little bit, will not enter Jannah, subhanallah. What is kibr, ikhwan? We have to think about it. All of us, I am first to think about it. I must be. Kibr, the Prophet described and defined arrogance to be what? Batarul haqqi wa ghamtun nas. So to reject some truth and to think oneself better than other people. So if you think like that, then you have some kibr. If you reject something from the truth, if we reject, iyadhan billah, something of the truth, we have some kibr. We have some arrogance. But we find these people the other way around. We find them very humble. But when it comes to protecting the Prophet ﷺ, they're ready to sacrifice. When it comes to sacrificing for Allah, they're ready. When it comes to being serious in brotherhood, they're ready. When it comes to treating their wives seriously, how Allah said, justly, they're ready. Even when we talk about women, of course, we did before, they are the same because they graduated from the school of the Prophet ﷺ. That school is very simple. It contains 2 ingredients. They are ilm, knowledge, and amal, actions. So when we analyze the biography of Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, Amir bin Abdullah bin al-Jarrah, may Allah be pleased with him, we find him exactly like that. And the Prophet ﷺ used to praise his Sahaba despite saying a hadith that you should throw uhthul turab al-maddahin, that you should throw dust in the faces of those who praise. And how do we then reconcile between that hadith and the fact that he said Abu Bakr is such, Umar is such, Uthman is like this, Ali is like this. And about Abu Ubaidah, he said, alayhi salam, Inna li kulli ummatin amina, wa inna amina hadhihi al-umma Abu Ubaidah, or Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. That indeed for every ummah there is someone very trustworthy, and the trustworthy one of this ummah is Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. First of all, we look at the definition of maddah in Arabic. Maddah means someone who praises too much. So every time you meet, says something, and generally that's not genuine. And the Prophet ﷺ didn't used to do that. He would say once or twice or something throughout the whole companionship, and that was enough. Secondly, the ulama said you cannot praise someone if you fear that that will change them for the worse. But generally the people we know, we should encourage them because the Prophet ﷺ used to encourage them. So does the fact that he said that about Abu Ubaidah mean that you can't trust anyone else? That you can't trust Abu Bakr or Umar or Uthman or Ali or anyone else? Of course not. That is another feature of the Sunnah, and we must try and learn from that, all of us, that he used to notice certain things that the people did better and he would praise them for it. Of course, you can trust all of the Sahaba. Who dares say, except someone totally nasty, that you can't trust Abu Bakr, you can't trust Umar, you can't trust Uthman, Ali radiallahu anhu, you can't trust Aisha, You trust all of them. Otherwise, we don't have deen if we can't trust them. They delivered the Quran to us, the Sunnah. But the Prophet ﷺ is showing that each Sahabi has a certain characteristic that doesn't belong to the other. Just like all of us here. Some of us can maybe write better. Some of us can speak better. Some of us can sew better. Some of us can do the computers better, and so on and so forth. So it is good sometimes to encourage our brothers not to lie, but to say that someone is really good in that, and someone is really good in that, and mashallah, continue. Otherwise, if you look at who is better, there is no one better than Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu from the Sahaba. Even Umar was not better than him. But each one had his own qualities. For that reason, it's very important for us to know it, even in our family. We have children sometimes, or we have relatives. May Allah help us to be patient with our relatives, and our relatives to be patient with us. And sometimes we notice our children or relatives, they have different characteristics. And we should encourage that. We shouldn't try and force our children to be ulama of Islam, all of them. It's not possible. And we see some people, they don't even pray, they want their child to be Ibn Taymiyyah. And the kid can't do that. You know, he's just a child, normal Joe Public. He wants just to memorize Juz Amma, maybe Juz Tabarak, inshallah, maybe. And then, inshallah, be a good Muslim. He can't do more than that. No, we have to force him. He can't memorize. The teacher is telling you he can't memorize very well. A'udhu billah. We have to make him memorize. But we have other kids. They read once and memorize, mashallah. Those we have to encourage. But the one who can't memorize Quran, he can do something with his hands very well. So we encourage him, we help him. The same the Prophet ﷺ used to do. And this is great hikmah. This is great wisdom. If you analyze the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, all of it is psychology and wisdom. Great wisdom. Because it's directed by Allah. Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, he took part, of course, in all of the major battles. Because he took part, the first major, as you know, was the major battle of Badr. Because there was a small battle of Badr which the ulama don't consider to be major. But the major one which took part in the second year of Hijrah, Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu took part in it. And he killed his own father in it. Some people may say, A'udhu billah, who kills his father? He killed his father because his father was on the side of who? Those who wanted to kill the Prophet ﷺ. So his job was to defend the Prophet ﷺ. So let's say your father, he has a problem. Or anyone's father. And he wants to kill your kids. And he comes and breaks into your house. He wants to kill your wife, your kids, yourself. He has a mental problem. So you have a choice. Either you do something to him, or he does something to you and your family. Someone may say, call the police. The police comes when everything is done, to count the casualties. How many dead? 3, alhamdulillah. Then they say on TV, 3 dead. The ambulance comes to take the dead. In this situation, what police are you talking about? And you can't blame the police for that. And they can't sit at every house and wait, someone might die. It's not possible. So you have a choice. Either or. Someone might say, use soft force and things like that. That's maybe in some books written by people who never lived in the real world. Maybe, Allah alam. But in the real world, it's either you or him. That's it. There is no other choice. Real force, mashallah, I'm going to measure my force now and things like that. What is this? So in that situation, of course, you have a choice. And you may not want it, but who wants to do that? No one. Like the Prophet ﷺ said about Adam. When he went to Isra and Mi'raj, Isra, the night journey, Mi'raj, he was taken up and he saw Adam, ﷺ, the first heaven. And when he said he looked to the right, he laughed. When he looked to the left, he cried. Because the right, he saw the good people from his children. The children of Adam, we are all children of Adam ﷺ. Left side, he saw the bad children. And he cried. They kuffar and bad people. Those who don't want to obey Allah, they do bad things, they're unjust. They want to take wealth of other people. So when he looks at them, he cries. Someone might say, subhanAllah, why is he crying about them? They're his children. They're his children. He feels bad for them. So who feels nice to do that to his own father? No one. But what is the problem with the father of Abu Ubaidah and other people who went against their own children? Why do you go against your own child just because he wants to pray? Why do you want to kill? They're in battle, ikhwan. They're not breaking into a house. They're in battle with weapons. They want to kill them and the man who is calling them, the Prophet ﷺ. Why would you do a thing like that? What did the Prophet ﷺ say to them? Go and kill your fathers? And no. He said, pray to Allah. Do good things. Leave what your fathers say. Because they used to say stupid things. Just like now, unfortunately, some of our parents, I'm sorry, say stupid things. Some. Not all, but some. May Allah guide them. They say stupid things. They invent, they make halal haram, haram halal. So imagine they used to do tawaf naked. Who does tawaf? Who goes anyway naked? Forget tawaf. You go to the corner shop, sorry, I just want to buy. Billah, man. Tawaf, imagine out of all places you have to go naked around the Kaaba. A'udhu billah. Why? Look how shaitan beautifies for them. They say, in these clothes, I disobeyed Allah. So I can't now do nice thing in these clothes. Like some brothers, you say, brother, please pray. No, akhi, I need a ghusl. What ghusl, akhi? What happened? What, you trying to say nicely, why do you need ghusl? You've been with me for 3 hours, what happened? You're trying to be as polite as possible. No, I need ghusl. Subhanallah, why do you need ghusl? Just do wudu and pray. No, I need ghusl. I need to wash the clothes. Yeah, why, yakhi? Just pray in your clothes. You see how shaitan? So they used to say, I disobeyed Allah in these clothes, so why can't you change them? Why do you have to be naked? Stupid. So the Prophet ﷺ said, no naked. They said, what is this new religion? La hawla wa la quwwata illa. New religion to be dressed? Some people, they say, oh, she's covering. New religion. She's covering. If she's uncovered, totally, almost like those who used to do tawaf, that's okay. Alhamdulillah, just like everybody else. So the point I'm making, the Prophet ﷺ, that situation in Badr, you have to look back. How did it occur? They found something nice to follow. He's telling them, be nice to your parents. Which religion teaches us to be better to our parents than Islam? Bring. Where? Which religion? How many ayat and ahadith tell us? So what is the bad that the Prophet is teaching them? Nothing. So why do you hate your own son? To the extent you're ready to kill him. Why? Why do you go to battle for that? Then they meet. And battle is battle. You either kill or get killed. It's not like someone breaking into your house. It's a battle. That's it. There's no door between you. For that reason, someone may question that, because some people who are disbelievers, They question everything. And they plant doubts in the hearts of the Muslims. And some Muslims start questioning things. Why? How can you do? Oh, and this. So we have to try and learn from the ulama who explain to us. And they explain like that. And that shows that his commitment to the cause of Islam is real. If someone says he was brainwashed by the Prophet ﷺ, we can say that first of all about them as well. Number one. Number two, how can someone who is being taught good things brainwashed and the one who is being taught nasty things not brainwashed? Number three, everyone had a choice to leave the Prophet ﷺ. No one was forced to follow him. No one. And some used to leave him, but not many. Not many, very, very few. Because as soon as they saw him, they used to love him. For that reason, this issue has to be very important so that, we ourselves as Muslims, we understand. And secondly, no one misrepresents us, misreports us. That we are advocating killing on. Some people, they're very, as you know, adept at doing that. They can cut a few quotes and then Abu Imran is advocating. Hopefully, inshallah, it will never occur, but I'm saying in case. Also in the battle of Uhud, which followed, because when the kuffar of Mecca got defeated in the battle of Badr, which was totally unexpected, they decided to, of course, avenge it. And they came to Medina. And Uhud, the mountain of Uhud is near Medina. And a great battle happened in the year 3, 1 year after that. Year 3 after Hijrah. Abu Ubaidah was involved, radiallahu anhu. And his 2 teeth, the front 2 teeth, the ones that you smile with. So if you don't have them, you don't have a nice smile. I know, Ikhwan, some of you think you're very tough without teeth. But believe me, teeth are for a reason. Teeth are for a reason, and the reason is not to go and get them knocked out by someone. Because someone may tell you that that's tough. Looking without teeth is very tough, It's not tough at all. You look ugly, sorry to say. So, Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, in that battle, he didn't have any other choice but the Prophet ﷺ was injured. And he nearly got killed in Uhud. But he got 2 things stuck in his cheek. The Prophet ﷺ, metal rods from the mighfar. Mighfar is a thing like a helmet that used to protect the head during the battle. Just like they have helmets now. Different a little bit. So they got stuck in his, and he had to use his teeth, because he couldn't do it with his hands, to get it out. Abu Ubaidah. And his 2 teeth broke. Totally come out. He sacrificed his teeth to save the Prophet ﷺ. And they said, subhanallah, he started looking better. Not like normal, yani. Don't think you're Abu Ubaidah and start doing it. But because of ikhlas, they say, we think, we hope. And because of the great sacrifice, normally people don't look attractive when they don't have front teeth. But he started looking better, radiallahu anhu. And Abu Bakr Siddiq, radiallahu anhu, when the Prophet ﷺ died, and the Sahaba, many of them gathered at the Saqifa. Saqifa is like a roofed passage. In some countries, maybe in your country they do. It's outside, but it has no walls, but a roof. That's, you can call Saqifa. It's a roof over your head, basically, no walls. Like a shelter, maybe. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhum gathered there. And of the tribe Banu Sa'ida. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said to them, he didn't say, choose me, like now, mashallah, we say, elections. I'm very good. Choose me. You know what I will do when I become president? You won't believe it. Because it's not true generally. Just choose me. I'm the best. So, and of course the Prophet ﷺ said, don't give it to the one who asks. Now everyone is asking, please give me something. And people are saying elections, subhanAllah, who do we choose? Because they don't know any one of them. I mean, in a good way. They probably know them by something, but not good. Or they don't know them at all. So how are you supposed to choose someone you don't know? Allahu A'lam. So Abu Bakr said, قَدْ رَضِيتُ لَكُمْ أَحَدَ هَذَيْنِ الرَّجُلَيْنِ. I am pleased for you, Khalifa, one of the two, Umar and Abu Ubaidah. That was the position that Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu occupied in the hearts of the Sahaba and in their minds. And at the time, he wasn't very old, you can say. So the Sahaba used to look not at the age only. You know, when you reach 40, some people say he's still young. He's just a baby, subhanAllah. Someone I went just now, recently when I went, said, who are you anyway? You're just a boy. I said, mashallah, when do I become man? And I would like to know. When is your age when I'm becoming a man? So he didn't want to continue. So some people, whatever age you reach, you're still a boy. And when you reach 60, they say he's old now. Yani there's no in between, subhanAllah, boy and old man. So you never become a man. So when you say, Ikhwan, you know, it's Sunnah, Quran, and say, we were born yesterday, subhanAllah, what does he know? Then when you spend 40 years saying that, you reach 67, say he's old, he's lost his mind. And there's never a time when you're just a man. So Abu Ubaidah, they didn't look at his age and say, oh, he's just a boy. And of course, at the time, he wasn't a boy. He was mature, but he wasn't 50s and so on. He was mature, but he wasn't that old. 50, maybe early 50s, you can say. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they used to look at, just like the Prophet ﷺ, when he made Usama bin Zayd bin Haritha, very young man, he made him a commander. Maybe you also had him, I don't know. When he was 16 or 17, commander of an army. Yani 16, 17, now if you say someone is going to be commander of the chips, they're not going to accept. Just to stay in charge of the chips, fish and chips. They say, Alhamdulillah, what are you doing? 16-year-old kid? That's how they used to treat the people, and they used to give responsibility. And also, the young people themselves and generally the people themselves used to be serious. So Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, also from his great manaqib and his great virtues, he was counted from those who have collected the Quran. So when they used to say have collected the Quran, as I've said many times, they used to mean someone who not only has memorized, they never used to really pay such attention to the one who memorized as much as to the one who knew the Quran and practiced it. So now many people think that once you have memorized a portion or the whole of the Quran, that's the end of the road. And they used to consider it the beginning of the road, because you have memorized something now, you're supposed to understand it and do what it says. Just like you say, I've memorized the highway code, alhamdulillah. Highway code. So when you do this, where do you turn? I don't know. Allah alam. So why did you memorize it? But it's good to memorize the highway code. Who cares? You're supposed to be a good driver, subhanallah. You memorize highway code and you had 3 accidents in the past week. What's the point? Who cares that you memorized? Like someone said to Sheikh al-Albani rahimahullah, mashallah, this brother, one brother they brought, he has memorized 6 books of hadith. Like now we say, they say, you know, they bring someone and say, he has memorized like a computer. So the Sheikh said, he looked at him and said, MashaAllah, another copy for the library. Yani meaning we have the books already in the library. We need to understand and do what it says. Otherwise, just to memorize in itself, yes, it's good, but there is no virtue attached to it as such, just for that purpose. Yani just to memorize and that's it, we stop there. Memorization is for what? To understand and do, and teach maybe. So Abu Ubaidah was one of them. And he used to be known for that. And that was manifested in many cases in his life. One of the greatest things that struck me when I was, before I studied the biography of Abu Ubaidah, and when I was preparing for this talk as well, is, and that strikes you, subhanAllah, every time you do and you read the biographies of the Sahaba, the companions, radiallahu anhum, how much ikhlas they used to have. Yani how little self something they used to have. Meaning, I don't want something for myself, I want it for the good of Islam and the Muslims. And that is something that really struck me when I was doing the biography of Abu Ubaidah and revising it. This, what you see, is not my writing. Someone may think that my daughter, who is only 5, she saw some notes I was making in the book. It's my book, so I can make notes. So she thought it's just like whatever, you know. So she started making notes. And I didn't see that. So now I find it hard to read some pages, because she made too many notes over the book, over the letters. So in case our respected brother doesn't think it's jinn writing or something. Because when I went over to Russia, they showed me, they said, you know, our Imam, mashallah, he made nice dua for me. I said, bring it, I'll see. So I open, and it's all, subhanAllah, some weird writing. You know those magicians, they write? I said, burn this. No, it's the Imam, the whatever. Don't worry, I said, I'm the Imam of your Imam. It's true, because they know nothing. Yani no nothing, no Arabic, no Quran, no nothing. Jahil. Just he's making money. A day maybe he makes 10, 20 of those. Easy, just like this. Wallah, you don't have to know any language. Just do like this. So, in case no one thinks like that, alhamdulillah. And I will give you just a couple of cases when the Prophet ﷺ, first of all, he used to love, and they asked Aisha who was most beloved to him. She said, from the men, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Abu Ubaidah. Some couple of examples of how they used to be wise, and they used to look at consequences of actions and words, and they used to also sacrifice for each other and for the cause of Islam. There was a case narrated in some books of the Seerah when the Prophet ﷺ sent reinforcements for Amr bin al-As, the father of Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As, in the battle of Dhatus Salasil. And the Prophet ﷺ sent an army containing Abu Bakr and Umar and others, and he made Abu Ubaidah to be in charge of that army. Or rather, maybe you can say a unit. So when they came, Abu Ubaidah didn't say anything, and Amr ibn al-As, who was already the commander, he said to all of them, I am your Amir now. Meaning, you do what I say. So they said, you Amir of those people, our Amir is Abu Ubaidah. And they said when Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu saw that, because Amr ibn al-As refused to accept it. And we can have that situation in many cases sometimes. Forget armies, sometimes in the, to appoint some Amir in the traveling is a problem. We need elections in the car. Normally without elections, the driver appoints. But Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, when he saw, and they said he was a mild-mannered man, mild-mannered commander of the army, mild-mannered and good, well-mannered. And he just said, Amr is your Amir. And that shows that the main thing, the job gets done. Who cares if I'm Amir, you in charge, I'm in charge, my name is on the thing. Who cares about that? That's how the Sahaba radiallahu anhum used to treat these things. And also they said that Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu كان موصوفا بحسن الخلق. He had very good manners. وبالحلم الزائد. Extreme hilm, tolerance. So that's something that we need to develop in ourselves. I'm saying about myself first of all. And tawadu', humbleness. Humbleness. And humbleness is the opposite of arrogance. So whoever accepts the truth and considers himself worse than others is humble. Because the arrogance, kibr, is what? To reject the truth and consider oneself better than others. So if you consider yourself worse than others, because you know yourself, like some ulama used to say, and they said it in nice poetry, if sins used to have smells, yani sins used to smell. If sins used to have smells, he said, no one would sit with me. Meaning I would be very smelly. Because I have so many sins. That's how they used to think of themselves. Yani. Ibn al-Mubarak rahimahullah used to say, and they graduated from the school of the Sahaba and generations after them, who graduated from the school of the Prophet ﷺ. Ibn al-Mubarak rahimahullah, who was a great imam, they said 1 year he used to do Hajj, 1 year jihad. 1 year Hajj, 1 year jihad. Like this, every year different. He said, I love the good people, even though I'm not one of them. And I hate the bad people, even though I'm worse than them. That's meaning that they used to be humble. They used to humble themselves. They didn't used to think, I'm such a mashallah. So Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu used to be like that. And also Umar, he used to always collect the people when he was Khalifa. And of course, he used to collect and always have people around him who used to be knowledgeable, understanding of the deen, and generally good people. He used to bring them to his gathering, even if they were young, like Ibn Abbas. And Abu Ubaidah, of course, was older than those young Sahaba. And he was one of those. And Umar used to say to the people sitting there, again, this is praise where it's due and it's good. He used to say to them, أَتَمَنَّ بَيْتًا مُمْتَلِئًا رِجَالًا مِثْلَ أَبِي عُبَيْدَةَ. I wish a house full of people like Abu Ubaidah. Meaning, the more the better of such people. So it's not that they praise each other every time, and the praise is not based on something real, but it is something that they saw fit, number one, and something that they wanted to support their brothers with. And they wanted also to show the people to be like them. And I will inshallah give you a last example. Of course, you know maybe very well the hadith, and the cause of the death of Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu was plague. In a place called Amwas in Sham, in the year 18 after Hijrah. And when he got afflicted with the plague, the Prophet ﷺ said, when you know there is plague or that illness in a place, don't enter that place. And when you are in that place and plague comes to it, don't leave that place. So that's quarantine, effectively. So that no one carries the disease outside. And no one from outside comes in and then leaves and so on. So Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu was among many thousands of people who died in that. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever dies of that is a shaheed, meaning in the hukm, that he gets the reward, the great ajr of a martyr. And Umar, when he learned that Abu Ubaidah is in that place and ta'un, the plague, is there, he wrote a very clever letter, because he didn't want him to die or to get ill. And he said, I have something that I need to do and discuss with you, and I need you urgently. So he didn't say, I don't want you to die of plague, and just come out as soon as you can and leave everyone to die. You know, he didn't write like that. He said nice, in a nice way. And when we now see people write nice political, meaning well-phrased letters, they say, A'udhu Billah, look at this Dajjal, how he's lying. You have to say things straight. And you say straight, but in a nice way. In a nice way. Like, for example, your wife gave you tea that has too much salt, meaning yani, we drink tea with salt, sorry. When I went, they said, is it true in England they drink tea with milk and sugar? I said, yeah. They said, A'udhu Billah. These guys are perverts, like. I said, why? They go, how can you drink tea with milk and sugar? I said, you guys drink tea with milk and salt and pepper. So if I say it, I said to there, they think you're crazy. So anyway. So if you're, let's say your wife puts too much, let's say not salt, sugar in your tea. So you taste it, it has too much sugar. So there are two ways to say it. Maybe there are more, but two ways that I know of. One is, A'udhu Billah, there's too much sugar in this. And the other is, next time, don't put that much sugar, please. Or maybe there's a better way even. So you try to put it, the same applies to the wife. She wants a pay raise. And she can say it, look, nothing is ever enough. So the guy is like in a panic, subhanallah. Or she can say in a nice way. Like one sheikh put it, he said, some women, they say, in Arabic it sounds nice, إذا بتحب. If you want. Meaning she wants you to do it, but she said, if you want, you can give me something. Meaning there are nice ways. Umar is writing to Abu Ubaidah in a nice way, in a subtle way. Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, he read the letter and he said, I know what he wants. He wants to save someone who can't be saved. Meaning he wants to stay, and he probably knew that by that time he would not survive. And he wrote to him a reply without naming anything. I know what you want. So free me from your need, because I'm among the Muslims in their camp and I don't want to leave them. Meaning I can, if he wants, Umar is his friend. Who is Umar? Khalifa. So if he wants, get me out of here, he will get him out of there. But he doesn't want. He wants to obey the Prophet ﷺ, number one, and he wants also, he feels bad to leave those people with him. That's, subhanallah, a great example. Where do you find that? Show me one country, one government, one whatever that came after them that had the same qualities. Where do you find? This is not something imaginary. This is real. The person knows he's going to die. Of course, in films, they can show you anything. In films, you have green people, blue people, and so on. Yani weird stuff going on. Anything, films and songs generally, and games, I want to add, games, kids' games, they're not real world, the real world. The real world is things that we live every day. That's the real life. So don't bring films and songs and games to prove something. You can invent anything. A short guy can be tall in the film. Fat guy, slim, and so on. Yani ugly woman can be made beautiful. He's laughing. He probably saw. He probably saw someone like that. Be careful. Can be the other way around. So that is not real life. That's why people who love films or songs or games, when they switch it off, they back to life. And they don't like it sometimes, especially songs. So this is real life. And in real life, you make real decisions. Islam, ikhwan, is all about real decisions. Not something, Allah alam, where somewhere someone said and wrote, which doesn't have relation to reality. When we talk about many issues, people bring questions that are not real. They don't come from real life. But Islam deals with real solutions and real problems. And the Sahaba, among them Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, they showed how to deal, how to imagine the morale of the people who said, your Amir is staying. Because he said to the Khalifa, or to whoever offered him to leave, he's not leaving. For them, they don't care if they die. The Amir is staying, subhanallah. That's a great boost of morale. And that's how they lived their lives, that's how they died. Because death depends on life. May Allah grant us good death, all of us. Because death depends on life. How? Directly. How you live your life, that's how you will die. All of us. So look, the death, they all die. Analyze the Sahaba, ikhwan, their death. By analyzing the death of people, you can see what kind of life they had. I always stuck in my memory one of the ulama of hadith. I forgot his name. And you know the Prophet ﷺ said, who said La ilaha illallah, his last words, La ilaha illallah, will enter Jannah. So this great imam of hadith was dying. And his students were around him. They felt shy to say, Sheikh, say La ilaha illallah. Like as if they're already putting him in the grave. Some people, they're violent. They say La ilaha illallah. They're killing him by this. He says maybe La and he dies because he's been shaken. Don't kill the dying person by La ilaha illallah. So they said, what shall we do? So one of them started saying the chain of narration of that hadith. The hadith that says, whose last words were La ilaha illallah will enter Jannah. That's the end of hadith, will enter Jannah. So one of them said, narrated such. The other said, from such. The other said, from such. They reached the Sheikh. So the Sheikh then understood what they want. He said, قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When that said, Sahabi said, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the Sheikh said, who said, La ilaha illallah, and he died. Yani he completed the hadith. Why? Because there is other things after La ilaha illallah. So he said, Man qala la ilaha, man kana akhir kalamihi la ilaha illallah, and he died. Meaning he will, inshallah, we hope, enter Jannah. So the point I'm making by that, the people who disobey Allah, may Allah not make us from them. When they die, some of them, this is said by people who witnessed it. They say, give this 100,000 to them. Yani he's dying now. And he's thinking about 100,000. Give the million to him. You're dying now, subhanAllah. Some they said, and this is said by some of the ulama, some people said to them, you know, bring me the song of that, he's dying, song, he wants song. What song? You're dying now. What do you need is to ask Allah for forgiveness. And look how the Sahaba died. All of their deaths, those great people, are honorable deaths. Whether they die in battle defending the Prophet ﷺ, whether they die on their deathbeds, whether they die like Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu wa anhum, that is how a person how he leads his life, he meets his death. So I want to end on that note so that we, and also to recite the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Sajdah, that those great people were not great just because of what they used to say, but they were great just because of what they used to do. And Allah said, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. And we made from them leaders, leading and guiding through our religion or through our orders, for two things: that they used to have patience. They had patience, very important quality, and they used to have yaqeen. They never doubted the truth. So since they started being with the Prophet ﷺ, they never doubted that what they were upon was the truth. And they never doubted that along the way they have to endure certain things. So they have to be patient. Just like now, people are telling us, no, nothing is going to change until you do what I say. That's not true. The Prophet ﷺ, they used to be very poor. The people used to attack them and kill them, and he used to tell them, you will conquer such and such. The Islam will spread until no one fears. And they used to live in fear, in Mecca especially. And the ulama say, and the hukama, the wise people say, dawamul hal min al-muhal. Nothing lasts, no condition and no situation lasts forever. So when difficult times come, we must go to the one who can lift it. And that's only Allah. Only Allah. And because Allah said, وَمَن نَصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Nasr is not from me or you or anyone or parliament or UN or anyone. It's from Allah. Only from Allah. وَمَن نَصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. So then we have to go to Him to ask for victory. And how do we ask for victory if we don't pray? Many of the people who go on demonstrations and cause the death of themselves and others, they don't pray, ikhwan. They don't do 5 times prayer. How can we ask for Nasr when we don't respect the ulama who carry the Sharia and they preach the Sharia and they teach it? And these are the great examples. This ayah demonstrates what they were about. They were leaders. They didn't become leaders because they cheated and they convinced us. They became leaders because they didn't want to be leaders. They just wanted to obey Allah, and they had patience to do so, and they never doubted. May Allah be pleased with all of them and help us to get as close to them as possible. Wa jazakumullah.